What to watch out for after you booked it. Hey everyone, I'm Matt Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazingly talented, beautiful wife and best friend, Brooke. And now on to our topic. What to watch out for after you booked it. So, you booked it. Congrats! I hope you took time to celebrate. And whether this is your first booking or not, there are some things that can, and if you do this long enough, will happen between the deal memo and the booking itself, and even past the booking, that I want to go over that you should be aware of if you aren't already. So let's just dive in. Now, speaking of the deal memo, after your deal closes, you might expect that with a higher budget production, you would get better communication and organization compared to those low budget indies that you maybe were doing up to this point. If only that were the case. Some of the worst communication and organization I've ever experienced as an actor has been on $150 million sets. Go figure. So regardless of the budget of the set you'll be working on, always be alert to the possibility that the ball could get dropped when it comes to communication before your first day on set. And if you think the ball has been dropped, don't be afraid to ask your agent to ask casting to speed up that communication process. Now, it all depends on when your first shoot day is. If your deal memo closes today, but your first shoot day isn't for 6 weeks, well, then give them some time to contact you. But if your first shoot day is in 6 days, and you will have to test and fit and possibly travel, and you haven't heard anything 24, 48 hours after the deal has closed, that's a red flag. Now, if you do get contacted, but not by all the necessary departments, that's also the time to speak up. For instance, let's say the COVID coordinator calls you to set up your test, but wardrobe hasn't called. Or vice versa, wardrobe calls you to set up the fitting, but you haven't heard from COVID, and you know that you're gonna have to test before you fit, and somebody dropped the ball. Don't just sit around and wait for it and expect it all to fall into place, especially if you're going to have to organize your life around these fittings and testings and possible travel days. Get ahead of it. Contact anybody who you have the number for currently, or like I said before, contact your agent who can contact casting, who can contact production. Because sure, in an ideal world, they would all be organized, but in my experience, that is the exception and not the rule. Side note, let me just say that I have worked with some amazing second ADs that are on it, that are so organized. But again, that tends to be the exception and not the rule. Okay, so let's just say it's the day before your booking and the AD who is contacting you is on it and organized. They've sent you a call sheet and a map to set, assuming that you'll be driving yourself to set. First thing to do when you get that map is to look at where the base camp is and where crew parking is. And are they the same place? If they are, great. There won't be any confusion of where you should show up and where you should park. But when they're separated, sometimes by miles, you need to clarify where you should park. Because sometimes you get to base camp and they actually allow cast to park at base camp, and it feels great. Other times, there's not enough room at base camp, even for the cast to park, so they have to send you to crew parking. And if you didn't clarify that ahead of time, you could end up wasting 10, 15 minutes driving to crew parking, waiting for a van to then take you back to base camp. And now, instead of being early, you're late. Okay, so now you've parked and you've arrived at base camp. And let's just say that your character is identified only by their occupation, cop, nurse, etc. And furthermore, there are going to be extras on set that same day that have the same occupation. So let's just say that I book cop, and there are going to be a lot of extras on set that are also labeled cop. Well, then just be prepared to be mistaken for an extra all day. It might be the security guard who tells you you can't park at base camp, this is only for cast. And you're like, well, that's me. It might be the base camp PA who says, oh, you're going to be over in extras holding. Or it might be when you're headed to craft services or catering and they say, ooh, extras eat over there. It's very humbling. But if you're ready for it, you can be quick to correct them. And here's a pro tip. Learn your number on the call sheet. Because if, when you're mistaken for an extra, you say, oh, I'm an actor, they might still assume you're an extra. And if you further clarify by saying, oh, I'm cast, they don't always think you know the implication of that label. But if you say, I'm cop number 32 on the call sheet, there won't be any mistake about it at that point. They will get the hint. Okay, so now you're in your trailer, whether it's a honey wagon or a triple banger or some bigger trailer that you might have been blessed with. And let's just say you've been through the works, which is code for hair and makeup. So now you're just in that hurry up and wait part of the day. If you are going to be waiting in a trailer and you're really not sure how long, don't assume that you should get into wardrobe even if it's hanging right there in your trailer. The reason? Well, let's just say that I'm playing a lawyer and they've got me in a three-piece suit. If I hurry up and get dressed because I want to get ahead of the game and be professional, and then I sit around in that suit for 3 hours, well, wardrobe's going to be mad because now my suit is wrinkled and they'll have to have me take it off and steam it. And now instead of being ready and ahead of the game when they call me to set, I'm actually going to put everyone behind schedule. So don't jump into wardrobe unless they tell you to. And if it is a complicated wardrobe, or it's just going to take a lot of time for you to get fully into wardrobe, then be sure to ask that base camp PA for a 15-minute heads up before they're going to need you in wardrobe and travel to set. That way, again, you're not caught trying to quickly jump into your wardrobe and then you miss a piece or something happens and now you're frazzled and running late, etc., etc. Now, while you're in that hurry up and wait mode, don't be afraid to ask the base camp PA for coffee, water, snacks, or where the nearest restroom is, etc. However, do not, I repeat, do not go on a walkabout because you want to just stretch your legs, or that you want to make a phone call, or that you're just going to meander over to set to see what's happening. Don't do any of that unless, and hear me, unless you tell someone where you're going first. At all times, the base camp PA or the closest PA needs to know your 20, your location. So don't travel or wander without letting someone know first. Okay, so now it's time for them to travel you to set. You didn't just wander there on your own. And the first thing you should do once you get there is to look for your cast chair. Especially if you brought a book or your phone or something else to occupy you between takes, you need to figure out where to set that down. I've had bookings where as soon as you get the set, they whisk you straight to the actual set. They do a rehearsal and then they're ready to shoot. And I'm like, can I put my book down somewhere? Or I still have gum. Or wardrobe has my jacket, so I kind of need that. And it can just make you feel discombobulated if they didn't give you a moment to relax into your cast chair before whisking you away to set. I've also had the opposite experience where I get taken to set, but then they're not ready for me, and so I'm just standing there because they don't have a chair for me. And in those cases, I just speak up and say, hey, can I get a cast chair? And you know what? They bring you one. Now, sometimes when you do get whisked to set and they're maybe behind schedule, they might try to do take after take after take, quick setups. Maybe there's not a lot of lighting change, and so you just don't have a moment to stop. Be sure to speak up for yourself. If you need water, a potty break, or let's just say you have pills that you need to take at a certain time every day, and you just need 5 seconds to grab them from your cast chair, take those pills, and then get on with the day. Don't let the franticness of everything that's happening around you compromise your own health and well-being. Another thing to watch out for when you're on set shooting is your own continuity. Yeah, usually the script supervisor or someone else might be in charge of paying attention to continuity. However, if you're in a scene with the number one on the call sheet, they're going to be mainly focused on them, so they might not have written down the exact time you took a sip of water, or which hand you were holding that mug in, or what direction you turned to face another character, and what line that happened on. So keep tabs on your own continuity so that when the question comes up, when they're sort of turning the camera around of, hey, Matthew, which shoulder did you look over? You don't go, oh, I don't know. Okay, so now you're wrapped. Great job today. You should feel good about that. If you're coming back tomorrow, then maybe ask for a prelim call sheet so that you can start to plan for your next day. If this was your only day or your last day on set, then make sure that you sign a Schedule G before you leave. Also, make it known if you need help getting out of wardrobe or getting out of makeup, especially if it was a special effects day. And although this might seem obvious, especially to the seasoned actors, after you are out of makeup and out of wardrobe, hang up your wardrobe. That's another pro tip. Don't ever just leave your wardrobe strewn about your trailer. But after you've done all that and you're in your street clothes and you're ready to go, make sure you find that Basecamp PA, because even if they're going to do the Schedule G digitally, they need to know the moment that you're leaving set. And if they do that Schedule G in person, take a picture of it. But if it's digital, which is something that's happened over the last couple of years, ask them to text or email you a copy of that Schedule G as soon as they fill it out so that you have a record of it. This is especially important if there was overtime, or you think there might be meal penalties, or anything else that was just a little bit weird during your day that might require you filing a claim later for lost wages. Okay, that was a quick video, and admittedly a small subset of all the things that you might encounter that could be red flags or pro tips or things that you just didn't know until you knew. So if I missed something that you wish you had known, or you just have questions about some of these things I brought up, please drop a comment below. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.